Alright guys, this is an instructional video on how to use the games for your KT2020 box. This will also go over some troubleshooting issues that you may have or some problems you may run into, help you get those fixed. You are going to have, by default, unless you've upgraded your controllers through us, one of these two controllers will always come with the game box. They are already paired. You do not have to pair them to the box. Once you turn on your KT box, you have that all uploaded. To turn on your remotes, you simply push the button. It will flash a couple times and you will see the light in the upper corner, the number 1. On these remotes, same deal, but on the back. Hold it down for a second. Dog hair on the remote, and you'll see it on the number 1 thing. Very important here, guys. If you push this button again, it cycles. Same on this one, 1 and 2. You never want it on number 2. These need to stay on number 1, and in this case, number 1 here. If there's no numbers, always the upper left-hand corner. These numbers do not represent control numbers or players. It has to do with software settings. I know it's confusing. Blame the Chinese, not me. No matter how many controllers you have, if it's 2, 1, 5, all of them must be on number 1, okay? And you have to remember that this controller is universal. So for Nintendo, the original Nintendo, there were only 2 buttons and there were only the D-pad. You have to keep this in mind. In your box, I've included instructions which show you which keys are mapped to what buttons on this universal controller. Alright, here's a new video of how to operate our games. Everything's been super simplified, so this won't be very long. You're going to only have two icons now. You're going to have Dig right here that's highlighted, and this little arcade stick called MAME. MAME is still for our arcades. That'll be separate. I'll touch on that as soon as this other part's over, and then Dig will have everything else. What's everything else? All 10 other systems if you have the fully loaded game package. That's 3DO, Atari, ColecoVision, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, Nintendo Entertainment System, PlayStation, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and TurboGrafx-16. They're all located in here. There's no more bouncing around to different menus. There's no more clicking one game system and having the wrong game for Coleco or Sega and it doesn't work and losing your games. All of that's eliminated. It's all here. So you'll have basically 2 options. You can play games by systems, or you can go to all games and search for what you're wanting to. Up at the top, there's a little magnifying glass, or just go through the list. As you can see here, they have the thumbnails of the boxes, so you can kind of see what games you're looking at now. But here's how this works. Say I want to play a Nintendo game. I go to Nintendo. I find the game. You can also click on anything, and it will bring up a little synopsis of what you're doing. So if I want to click Batman, here's Batman. It shows the game. It says when it was made. Gives you an idea. Is this the one I'm looking for? If not, you simply hit back with B. I go through and I find what I want to play, and I just hit A, and it will play. So here's Castlevania. I hit A. It's starting up. There it is, just like that. That quick. That's real time. So I'm playing Castlevania. Cool. I hit the R3 button now to back out. That's this button. Push it down. That brings me out to close game. I can close the game, exit out of the game, exit out of the system, and we're back here to where we were. Now, oops, go back. All right, so there is our list of games. Now we're back over here. So that was Nintendo. I can go to PlayStation. Same deal. I find a game that's PlayStation. Ace Combat. Same deal. Just click on it. If I want to play it, hit the play button. If I don't, hit B to back out. With all of the game systems now, you're going to press this button, push it down, click it, and that will bring you to the exit menu. The only exception is that only exception to that is the PlayStation games. You'll have to actually use your remote and hit the back button because all of the buttons on the PlayStation or the gamepad for PlayStation are already mapped. So there is no way to put a back button on there. Let's see. We go under all games, same deal. It will automatically pick the correct system. It's just that simple. So if I played this game, it's for PlayStation. It takes me into PlayStation. I can back out. If I go down here and play this game, it's for Super Nintendo. It automatically takes me into Super Nintendo. There's no more jumping around anymore. All the button mapping stays the same. As I mentioned, to get back, it's this button for most game systems. For Nintendo 64, it's select to back out of the entire system. And for PlayStation, you will need your remote. Just hit the back button or the home button. To favorite anything, you simply long press it, pulls up, you can add it to favorites, and it will show up under your favorites. That's it. That's all there is to this thing. It cannot be any more simple. Don't mess with the options. Everything's already set up. There's nothing more to know about this. I love the simplicity. This is awesome. As far as the arcade games go, we're going to hit the home button and back out. I'll go to the arcade games. Just a couple little changes here with the arcade games. First of all, arcade games, they're arcade games. They're called MAME. They require quarters. The select button is the quarters. You must hit select to enter your quarters in once you pick your game. So let's see. What do we have here? Let's go find a game. All right. Here's Golden Axe, one of my old school favorite arcade games. I simply click Golden Axe with the X button on the remote control. Okay. That will bring up. There we go. Okay. That will bring up the game. Again, remember, this is an arcade game. These weren't home video game systems, so it is a little different. It's going to boot up. It's going to do like a ROM check. To play the game, I must enter credits. That's the select button here. So there's my credits. Entering the credits in there. And all arcade games are going to have slightly different controls because I don't know how they were mapped out. There's thousands of them. But just you're going to have to experiment with the buttons. Typically, it's just these buttons, up, down, left, right. This analog stick should work. Sometimes the top buttons are required as well. Anyway, after you're playing your game, everything's good to go. To back out of a game, it is simply the R3 button again. Push this down, click it. You'll see this up here, exit game. Yes, no. That's as simple as that. Exiting brings us back out to this menu where you'll see all your other games, and that is it. That is how simple now all of the video games are. I couldn't make it any easier. This is great. Up and down, by the way, in this list goes slow, and right and left goes faster if you want to get through these faster. This is the last important part. Should your controllers become unpaired and you need to repair them, you will go up to the blue-greenish gear in the corner. You're going to go to Connected Devices, and you're going to go into Currently Connected. Remove anything currently connected. So with your remote, go ahead and remove anything that is currently in there. And how do you do that? You just simply highlight it. You click Forget Device, and do that for anything that's in there that may be connected. You should be left with nothing. Okay, now to correctly pair these, make sure they're turned off. There are no lights turned on. How do you turn these off if you're not using them? Simply hold this button down on either one until the lights turn off. That turns off the controllers. Now, you're going to want to go to Pair Device, and we click Pair Device, and now it's searching. As it's searching, you come over to your controller and you hold X. This is how you pair every controller. Hold X, and you're going to hold that home button until it blinks fast. Okay? Then you can let it go. Not the slow blinking, but the fast blinking. Once it's blinking fast, you're going to go over here, and you'll see eventually Gamepad will be under Available Devices. With your remote, go ahead and select Gamepad. And it should be there. Once it's selected, you will have that solid red light there. Again, remember, not on the 2 spot, the 1 spot. Now you can use the controller to move around. You will do this again for your second remote. Click Pair. And then over here, you're going to hold X, and you're going to hold the home button. And on the back of this, it will blink fast. There you go. And it sometimes does take a while to pop up. You may have to do it 1 or 2 times, but that's all they have to do. As with everything else, just give it some time. You'll learn the controllers. And always, if you forget anything, just go back and look at your directions where I have all the control buttons mapped for you. There are limitations to N64. Nintendo 64 is a very advanced system. It's a very hard system to emulate. Even the strongest computers today are having problems emulating this. However, this KT box is kicking ass at emulating these, and most of your games will play almost perfectly. Now, I say most, I can't test all these. And there are some where there's going to be some little weird glitches and issues. But We're including Nintendo 64 in here for free now, so have fun with it, test it out. The important games work great. Please keep in mind, Nintendo 64 had a very strange controller. Now, we plan on offering a Nintendo 64 controller for the KT box. Make sure you check the directions to show you how we have those buttons mapped. It will make life a lot easier.